Do you have records in your collection that you don't listen to? I know I sure have a few, but we're going to talk about that today, so stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome to Northern Revolutions. I'm Rob. Welcome back if you're returning. Welcome if you're new. As I mentioned off the top, we're going to talk about some records in my collection that I don't listen to, but I really should listen to. Listen, I've got, 800 albums back there. And, it's, you'd have to listen to a couple albums a day every single day to get through them all in a year. And regrettably, I don't always have time to listen to 2 or 3 albums a day. So there's some that don't get played very often. There's some that don't get played at all. And there's some that get played a lot. So I want to talk about some albums that I've gone through that I have not listened to in a very, very long time. A couple years maybe. But they're also albums that I think I should listen to. So the idea for this came, I was just on a live chat this evening with my good friend Alex from Beer and Vinyl. We were joined by many people, but namely Vinyl Richie, and this topic came up. So this is for you, Richie. This was your idea. Some albums that I don't listen to that I should. Okay, the first one I'm going to talk about, the album Midnight by Grace Potter. Love Grace Potter and the Nocturnals. Talked about them before. Kind of 70s flavored rock band from Vermont. Love. One of my favorite bands of all time. This was Grace's first solo record. I don't listen to this ever. The band went in to record this album, which was supposed to be the follow-up to The Lion, the Beast, the Beat, which came out in, I think, 2014-ish. But ultimately what happened is Grace decided that this would be a solo album, and much to the band, to their surprise, they were not included in the tour supporting this, even though they all play on this album. I'm not getting into what I think happened and some of what I know happened, but suffice it to say, she divorced her husband, the drummer, and married the producer of this album, and has had a solo career ever since. I don't think that Grace is nearly as good solo as she was with the Nocturnals. But even though the Nocturnals aren't credited, when you read the notes, all of the Nocturnals play on this record. It is a bit of a departure, a little more pop, a little less rock. But I still think I need to listen to this because this is really the last kick at the can of Grace Potter and the Nocturnals. A little different, but it's still a rockin' album. And maybe I'm a little biased because she broke up my favorite band with this album. So maybe I got to cut a little more slack, but we'll give this a try. Grace Potter's first solo album, Midnight. We'll stick sort of with the female singer-songwriter theme. This is an album by Serena Ryder called Harmony. Serena Ryder is a fairly renowned singer-songwriter from Toronto. This came out in 2013. This was her really big solo album. I mean, she's had many albums throughout the years and is still going strong today. But this is her big one, and this actually gave her a pretty big hit in the States. There's a song off here called Stompa, which if you heard it, you would know it. I'm not a big fan of that song, but this is actually a really good record, and I bought it when it first came out, and I listened to it a lot. And I think I've just forgot about this album, to be quite honest. There's no reason I haven't listened to it other than I just haven't listened to it. So she's a great vocalist, great singer-songwriter. I did meet her once, and she was, we'll just say, slightly unpleasant, but that doesn't detract from the music. I could separate the artist from the music. And the music on this is really good. So I think I've got to give Serena Ryder's Harmony some more listens. Because, like I said, I listened to it a lot when I first bought it. Turning now to a rock band I absolutely love, Oasis. This is their last album, Dig Out Your Soul. It was their seventh studio album, which came out in no date in here, but I want to say 2009 ish. I think 2007 ish, somewhere around there. I absolutely love Oasis. Yes, of course, the best albums are definitely Maybe and What's the Story, Morning Glory, the first two albums, but I like all their albums. I like Standing on the Shoulders of Giants. I like Don't Believe the Truth. But this is one album I never ever got into. Uh, oddly, this is actually was pretty well received at the time. It actually sold pretty well. And a lot of the reviews, I reread some reviews on this just to refresh my memory, but a lot of the music critic reviews, for whatever that's worth, spoke very positive of this album, that it was a real extravagant rock and roll album. It was, um, Oasis being orchestral and multi-layered guitars, stuff they hadn't done for, well over a decade. It was kind of a good return to form rock album by all accounts, but I could just never get into this album. I don't think there's any songs in here that I even know, to be quite honest. So I'm going to have to, because I love everything else in their catalog and I like both the Gallagher brothers solo. I owe it to myself to session this a little bit more, because if it's that well reviewed and I like everything else they've done, I see no reason why I don't like this. I just maybe never gave it a fair shot. Next up is an album probably not a lot of folks even know about. This is a self-titled album from a band called Long Branch Pennywhistle. You've never heard of them? Correct. Came out in early 70s, I think. And what this is Glenn Frey from the Eagles and J.D. Souther, their friend who wrote many Eagles songs. This is the band that Glenn was in prior to joining the Eagles, before backing Linda Ronstadt. I longed for this to be re-released, because the originals are hard to find. And then it was re-released, and I bought it. I've probably listened to it twice. It's good from what I remember, but it wasn't quite Eagles, obviously, because it's not Eagles. But you can see how this would sort of turn into the Eagles. And again, kind of like the Oasis album, I just don't think I gave this enough of a shot. So I think if I listen to it a few more times, I would like it. So if you're an Eagles fan, find yourself Long Branch Pennywhistle. I'm hesitant to show this next one. I need some Concert Buddy oven mitts, because this is a hot take. This is an album that is highly regarded as an absolute masterpiece and a classic. And I don't listen to it ever. I'm ashamed to show it, but Neil Young's Harvest. I should like this. I'm a big champion of Canadian music. Neil Young's Canadian. This is the Canadian sound that I talk about frequently. This embodies it. Some of the big hits on this album, Heart of Gold, Old Man, Needle and the Damage Done. I know that I should like this. I'm just not a big Neil Young fan. I appreciate that he is probably one of the 3 or 4 greatest songwriters in Canada that we've ever produced. I mean, I think he's on our proverbial Mount Rushmore, if there ever was one. I couldn't get into this. As much as I like everything that was influenced by this record itself never really resonated with me. So I gotta be missing something, because I like everything that stemmed from this. So I gotta give it some more listens. When people ask me, who's your favorite band? It's always the Beatles, Blue Rodeo, and the band. So this is Islands by the band. This, I think, was the last album before The Last Waltz. Yeah, I don't really know what to say about it. The only song off here that I really know is "Christmas Must Be Tonight," which I think is an absolutely beautiful Christmas song, and it's a classic uh, in Canada anyway. Maybe I don't like it because Robbie Robertson is wearing a Toronto Maple Leafs jersey, and I'm a Habs fan. Maybe that's it. Joking aside, I just think this is kind of the weakest of all their albums. It's mostly all originals, but I still listen to Moondog Matinee, which is covers more than I listen to this. And I don't know why that is. Again, I think maybe this just boils down to I haven't given it enough listens. I listen to everything else in their catalog. I mean, my go-to is the self-titled and The Last Waltz and Big Pink, but also listen to Stage Fright and Cahoots and whatever. But I never pull this for some reason, and maybe it's because I don't think about it. But these guys are just, as far as I'm concerned, one of the greatest bands ever. So I need to listen to this more. And the last one I'm going to show, I think, like some of the others, I guess maybe I just haven't paid it quite enough attention. Lindsey Buckingham, Christine McVie. This was the album that the two of them put out in 2017. This is why I need to listen to it more. This is not technically a Lindsey and Christine album. This is the last Fleetwood Mac album. There's no Stevie Nicks, but their backing band, John McVie and Mick Fleetwood. So you've got 4 of the 5 members of Fleetwood Mac. Well, the last official Fleetwood Mac album, Say You Will, is 4 of the 5 Fleetwood Mac members. Christine's not in it, but Stevie is. So if that's a Fleetwood Mac album, why can't this be a Fleetwood Mac album? I don't know. So essentially, as far as I'm concerned, this is the last Fleetwood Mac studio album. I've listened to it several times. I mean, Sleeping Around the Corner is a good song. Feel About You is a good song. I don't know. Maybe I just felt like it lacked some of that magic. Maybe it's, it is missing Stevie. I guess that's what it is. But there are other Fleetwood Mac albums without Stevie Nicks. So maybe I got to think about it in that frame of mind. But I'm a big Fleetwood Mac fan, so I need to listen to this more. There you go, folks. There's a handful of albums as I went through my collection. I went, I haven't listened to that in I don't know how long, and I need to listen to that. So I am going to do that. I'm going to listen to these, and hopefully they sort of make it into the more permanent rotation. But I'm curious if you've got anything in your collection that you've sort of rediscovered or things that you need to pay some more attention to. Let me know in the comments. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Catch you on the flip side.